I have had the final countdown song stuck in my head for like 3 days now. It's insane. But you know what's worse than that? It's the final countdown. Totally forgot about my inspection sticker on my car. You don't want to have Sergeant take her away and Sergeant Booker come get you, do you?
You're under arrest. Sergeant, take her away and book her.
Sergeant, take her away. Sergeant Booker.
Oh well. I'll get it eventually. I think they give you 10 days before they actually say something after the expiration date. I don't know. Do you guys know? I don't. This is the daily. Red light. Wow. School's back in, people. Well, that means if you're in Titusville, stay clear of the roads about 2:33, 3:30. Trust me, you'll thank me. Because it's just, well, it's really hectic about that time. Just saying.
Into the fire I'm thrown, where it hardly feels even warm. I must satiate all desire, so that I can again feel fire.
Tragedy. Do you think some families have more tragedy than others? I honestly believe stuff happens for a reason, but there's sometimes you think, why does this family always have so much tragedy in your life? Well, I should say, kind of a story that a family just couldn't get away from tragedy. Let's just say that. That's what I was trying to say. This is the family plot of the Pierces, Rexford and Clara Pierce. There is a myth of a house in town that is haunted. They lived in it, but the story that happened in their life, nothing really tragic ever happened at the house, but the family, they have a little bit of tragedy going on. Family burial place of Rexford and Clara Pierce, 1871. This guy, let me tell you, when I get into the story, you'll be like, whoa, her too. A lot of my stories tie in with what she got, but this family right here, they had some troubles. So let me ask you, let me tell you a story about hauntings, bad luck people have. No, I don't really believe in bad luck, but tragedies do happen to families. But a story about the Pierces that followed them their whole life, and it happened to go to, well, their home for some reason after they sold it. Do you want to hear the story? Sure you do. I'll tell you a little backstory on Rexford and Clarissa. They moved to Titusville in 1842 to invest in, well, you know what? What was here in Titusville in the 1800s? Anybody? Anybody? I'm sure somebody got it out there. Lumber was big here. Huge! Millions! You know, they had Thurston Howell money flowing through here. But they moved here to invest and get in the business of making a lot of money. And they built a house here in town. Clarissa ended up getting pregnant. And both times she got pregnant, the babies died. They did not survive. So they tried and they tried again. They did have kids, as you can see on the stone. Oh, feather of a firebird. I got the feather of a firebird. They did end up having 2 boys, George and Edmund. Then again, they had John and Mary. So the tragedy of the death of the little babies didn't deter them. They kept going and they had 4 more kids. Now little baby George was born with birth defects. He had challenges. He had a development challenge at birth. So George kind of had a rough life, but Edmund turned out okay. So that was the bright spot. But George, he had some problems during birth when Clarissa had him. But like I said, they had another 2. They had John and they had Mary. You know, I come to a lot of cemeteries, I do stories, and the more and more when you find out about somebody who's buried here and you're looking at their stone, it makes you sad to think back and think, how did these people feel when stuff happens in their family? You don't know unless you look the information up. But every time I come up here and I do a story on somebody, it's just, it blows me away when I think, man, what kind of horrible anger and pain these people have in life. But when John and Mary come along, aspen?
This is an aspen. You can tell that it's an aspen tree because of the way it is.
Mary died January 10th, 1882. She ended up getting consumption. And as you guys know, consumption is just another word for tuberculosis. Yeah. Last 2 weeks ago I did a video on a girl who died of tuberculosis at a young age. There's no age gap with tuberculosis. Doesn't matter what age you are, back in the day, it would get you. Here's a sad story I gotta tell you about John. And I gotta leave the cemetery for this one. But he died February 4th, 1883, at the young age of 20 years, 1 month, 23 days. I like how the old cemeteries and stones put on, you've been on the earth this long. They just don't put the, you know, how old you are, but they always like such and such and such. They don't do that anymore. I should do that with my stone someday, 100 years from now. Oh boy. School traffic has started. Good thing I'm almost through it. The next year in 1883 on the South Franklin Bridge. I gotta climb down under the bridge to show you what I need to show you. There we go. There we go. The South Franklin Street Bridge. Let me tell you what John did. John was playing in his yard with 2 buddies. They got a rainstorm right in the middle of winter, kind of getting through winter, and the rain started melting the snow. And basically what was happening, it was taking out all the bridges coming into Titusville. There's like a beach down here. John left his home, come downtown with his friends to explore, and they seen the Franklin Street Bridge was still up and operating, but looking pretty sad, and they decided, let's take a dare and go across this. I know. Let's take a dare and go across the bridge. Why, this place right here was all flooded. The water was all the way up to here. So like any old good teenager does, 3 friends take a dare. They get to the middle of this bridge right here. The water was so strong, it ripped whatever was holding the bridge in place. Basically, the bridge crumbled, and all 3 boys fell into the icy water, floated down Oil Creek. Yeah, all 3 of them. Whew. You know, it's crazy the places I go and do that you gotta climb out of. Holy cow. Holy moly. This bridge is loud. I'm not sure if this fence was back here in the 1800s, but there's a fence now. But what the story said, onlookers seen John land in the water, scream for help, and then disappear. I'll be right back with the story. But anyway, the 2 boys, during their whole let's go across the bridge and have fun why it's starting to collapse, ended up floating down the creek here. You know, we've all done crazy stuff as kids and we think back, man, I could have died. You know what I mean? But these 2 of John's friends actually died. Actually, John died, his other friend died, but William Bartholomew actually lived. He was rescued on the banks of the Oil Creek here when the ice and the snow was flowing down. But John and his other friend was found a week later, frozen in the water, dead. John, on the other hand, 3 months later, when summer come and the ice started melting and stuff, John was actually found 3 months later, downstream. You know, I said I wasn't gonna do any death stories for a while, but I had this story in my back pocket for a while. And last week when I did the live stream, we were talking about hauntings and do you do haunting stuff. Stuff like this that I'm doing now, yeah, because you're gonna see after these boys died and the family had all the tragedy and all the hullabaloo that was going on, their house was never haunted. But after they died and sold the house, something weird happened to their house. I may or have may not shown you the crazy house after they sold it. I may or may have not shown you the crazy house. After they sold it, things started happening. Now, no death come about the family members in the home, but after they sold it, years later, after the tragedy of 4 of the kids, residents who have bought that certain, if I showed you or not the place, have said their dogs bark for no reason, doors open and close and get locked for no apparent reason. And there was also a rumor that certain times when you drive by, there is a little boy standing in the doorway of that house. I'm not saying there is or there isn't. I'm just saying that's what the story says. You know that house sat empty for, oh, I'd have to say, oh, it was empty for probably 5, 6 years before it actually sold on the market a couple of years back. So hopefully the people that lived there are not experiencing anything crazy. But that is the story on the Pierce tragedy. And why would you know, when you're teenagers, you just do stuff that, well, don't make no sense. Out with the old, in with the new.
I wish you to manage a publicity campaign. A very large, a very important campaign.
Is the product established or is it something brand new?
Oh, something quite new. You will begin then by saturating the newspapers, the radio, streetcars. Clever, yes.
Spectacular vernacular! Bring it! I smack it with spectacular vernacular!
Get yours downstairs in the link below. Just saying. Sweet. Just got those in the mail today. Actually, it was like, I think a week it took to get to my house. And what I didn't realize is, used to be a plant that made my stuff in Pennsylvania, Arizona, and California. My stuff come from Arizona, so wherever you order from, depending on what state you're closer to, that's the plant that's gonna make my merchandise shipped to your house. Crazy. Like I said, downstairs in the link below. Man, oh man. Took a little stop to have a smoke. Trust me, I know, I'm not gonna show it. My mom and wife would have a fit. But I took a little stop to end the video at Burgess Park. I didn't realize this pavilion was built in 1982. Jeez, no wonder I always remember this pavilion being here. That's crazy. Do some families just have more tragedy than others? I mean, we all have family stuff that goes on and stuff. We're like, why did that happen? You know what I mean? But some families just have like a black cloud over them for some odd reason. It just seems weird to me. And you always think, why'd that happen to those good people? You know, life is weird. I don't know. I've been pretty blessed to have a pretty nice, smooth flowing life. I mean, I've had some crap go on in my life, but stuff like that family had, that's rough, man. But yeah, like I said, you never know. You just shake your head sometimes. You're like, man, that poor family. Why? A really nice day today. Holy cow. Oh, aspen.
This is an aspen. You can tell that it's an aspen tree because of the way it is.
So I'm going to end this video for the week at the beautiful Burgess Park. So those were the days.
Those were the days, my friend.
I visited a suspected haunted house that I've heard for years. My childhood into my adulthood. Those were the days where I went and seen the cemetery where the fine people are resting in peace. And who knows if the story's true? And again, too, the story I read, her name was Clarissa, but on the stone it says Clara. So if I confused you, well, I'm sure I did somebody. But yeah, in the story it said her name was Clarissa, but on her stone it says Clara. I don't know. I'm not Wikipedia, people. I just do these stories, and I read 5 stories on these people. And they built the house in Titusville. They had tragedies in their family, and after everybody moved and died and sold the house, apparently the house got haunted. I don't know, you know, who's to say these stories? But I'll see you next week at Monday, again like regular. Oh man, what a beautiful day. Summer should never end.
This is an aspen. You can tell this is an aspen tree because of the way it is.
This is a daily.